Well, good morning, everyone, or good afternoon, or good day, or good evening,
depending on when you're listening,
on where you
yes.
are, what you're doing. Welcome to our fourth episode of the OFW. We're gonna make that work. I'm gonna make that stick over the fourth wall. The OFW. Don't think about it too much because it doesn't actually make sense.
Over the fourth wall,
or Tofwa.
Tafwa, a crooked path guide to Eastern Iowa theater.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
Hello, everyone. Today we're very excited. We are going to be talking about Clue, which actually, with the play Clue at Theatre Cedar Rapids, which actually opens today, Thursday, October 12th, and we're very excited about it.
Absolutely.
Yes. Chris, take it away. Tell us about this play, please.
So this is a very interesting discussion.
Yes, this is a Byzantine path.
It's a Byzantine path. You see, ordinarily in the theater or in art or in movies or books, an author will have an idea and then they write that idea. And they may get feedback from people, but it generally comes from their idea. Or in some cases, they will get hired to flesh out an idea, like Hal Prince did with the Pajama Game, hiring the authors of that show to actually write it.
God, you're a nerd.
I know, it's amazing. Yes, yes. So there are several ways that things come to the stage, but this particular path is particularly thorny and a little unusual.
Ooh, say more, please.
And it goes back all the way to the 1920s.
All right.
So Agatha Christie is all the rage. In particular, And Then There Were None was a sensation. And the idea of murders and murder mysteries had captured the imagination of people, in particular the imagination of bored actors.
Sure.
So what happened in the 1920s and 1930s is actors, while they were hanging around in hotel lobbies or hotel bars, would create games wherein they'd play characters as if they were in an Agatha Christie mystery and then act it out.
Ugh, actors.
Actors, I know. And then it became where they would invite some of their friends to come and they'd host increasingly elaborate parties based around the idea of solving murder mysteries. Now, murder mystery games continue to exist to this very day. In fact, there's one that's being performed in Cedar Rapids next month. But there was this person whose name was Anthony Pratt. And Anthony Pratt was not an actor. He was a musician. In particular, he was a pianist. And so he was frequently playing piano in these bars and restaurants where actors were acting out these elaborate and increasingly improvised scenarios. And he saw a through line that would happen between people having a character that was big and large, having a murder weapon and a location. And from that, he created the game that we now know as Clue.
Huh.
When it was launched, it was called Cluedo.
Yes.
And it was called Cluedo because in Great Britain, there is a game called Ludo, which in America we refer to as Parcheesi. Ludo is Latin for I play. And so Cluedo was a playoff of Ludo. When it was imported by Hasbro to the United States in the early 1970s, it was Clue.
Very interesting. Thank you for solving that mystery.
I
have often wondered.
I'll just throwing that all out there. His initial version of it had slightly different character names having to do more with rural country, Great British characters. Like it wasn't Mrs. White, it was Nurse White. And it wasn't Professor Plum, it was Father Plum. And different characters that had parish like roles, and over time it became what we know of as today. But the actual gameplay and the way that it would work remained largely intact through all of the various revisions. Okay, so we have this board game.
Yes.
The board game is a sensation. It is considered a classic. It is up there with Monopoly. It is up there with Scrabble. And I don't know who exactly had the idea, but it was turned into a movie in 1985.
Yes.
A very famous movie.
Beloved by many of us.
But not beloved when it was in the theater. It was a resounding dud when it came out in theatrical release. But this was right in the middle of the 80s, 1985. So VCRs were all the rage, and it became the party movie of the late 80s, where people would rent the video and watch all of the different endings, and the characters were played by such perfect hams as Madeline Kahn and Tim Curry and Leslie Ann Warren, really doing, and Michael McKean doing their best to wring the life out of these characters.
Chris, please remind me. I think I remember hearing that the three different endings in the film, you could only see one of the three different endings depending on where you were in the country. Is that correct?
It was where you were in the country, yes. And then sometimes larger cinemas would be able to get all three endings, but they'd have to run them in different theaters.
Gotcha. So it is only when it came to home video that all three endings were put together.
They were put together, and they were separated by title cards that said what might have happened, or what could have happened, and then what did happen.
Do you know how that was arrived? Why was it decided that was the ending? Was that just the most popular ending?
It was curiously, it was the one the authors liked the best. The critics, in particular Roger Ebert and Gene Siskel, each preferred ending 1 or ending 2. Neither of them preferred ending 3. That ends up with the ending being ending 3.
Mm-hmm. Well, all right then.
Yes, and we could get into a variety of reasons why ending 3 was thought to have be more palatable, in particular to Middle America, but that's a whole nother story.
Sure.
Yes, we'll have that podcast in the future.
Yes.
So the movie was directed and written by Jonathan Lynn. And Jonathan Lynn is mostly a stage director. He worked at the RSC and the National Theatre in Great Britain. Plus, he also ran the Cambridge Theatre for many, many years. He wrote the movie Nuns on the Run, a particular delight
with Robbie Coltrane and Eric Idle. Yes.
Yes, in nun habit drag at various times. Yep. He also directed one of my go-to favorite films, My Cousin Vinny.
Yes.
But he did not write it, I should point out.
Got it.
Yes, but he did write and direct Nuns on the Run. And then he also did a couple of other movies of note, including The Whole Nine Yards and the Fabulous Gemstones. Yes. So he's directed a variety of things, and but is mostly known for his work in the theater. So the movie comes out in 1985. It is available on video. Almost immediately, high schools and community theaters begin writing down the lines while watching the VHS and performing scenes from it or the entire thing on stage. And so for approximately 20 years, unauthorized versions crop up all over the place. Much to the consternation of the actual rights holders. But because of the machinations of Hollywood in the 1980s, it was unclear who actually held the rights. But the rights eventually reverted to Mr. Lynn in time for the first official production, which was at Bucks County Playhouse in 2017.
Wow.
Yes.
All right.
Yes. Now, this is where it starts to get a little murky, and we're reading between the lines.
Now a warning?
Now a warning. And if the listeners, if you know what that reference is to, please put it in the comments. An upcoming musical version of that, by the way, is coming out. So the I'm so sorry. I said the Fabulous Gemstones. It's the Fighting Temptations.
Yes.
Excuse me.
Yes.
So sorry.
Many
Fabulous,
of the same words.
Fabulous Gemstones. Completely different thing.
Also, it's the Righteous Gemstones. But listen, you were doing so
righteous,
well.
fabulous,
You seemed
righteous,
so happy.
fabulous.
I didn't want to interrupt your flow.
All right, Bucks County Playhouse. The artistic director of Bucks County Playhouse then and now was Hunter Foster. Hunter Foster, Tony nominee Hunter Foster, not Tony nominated curiously for his breakout role in Urinetown, but instead for his role as Seymour in the only Broadway production of Little Shop of Horrors, but also appeared in Bridges of Madison County and a variety of other shows, and famously appeared in what was referred to as the Greek tragedy cast of Grease, where he was cast as Danny, and his sister, Sutton Foster, two-time Tony winner Sutton Foster, was the understudy for Sandy.
No.
Yes. So
Did it ever happen? Did they ever?
It never happened where they had to actually play
Oh
off each other.
Gosh.
But can you imagine?
I can, and I wish I weren't. I wish I weren't.
Yes, but hence the Greek tragedy. So he was given the opportunity to stage in a sanctioned version of Clue. He is also given the opportunity to write some additional material to make it work on stage because, as we know, film and stage are different medium. And there are lots of jump cuts in the film, for example, and things that are happening on multiple levels. So he and a friend who was also at Bucks County Playhouse named Eric Price took to rewriting certain sequences, reordering things so it made sense on stage. And their production, which was given credit to the original writer with additional material by Hunter Foster and Eric Price, went up in 2017.
Got it.
Mm-hmm. To reasonable reviews.
Got it.
Eric Price, by the way, is known for a variety of things, including the adaptation of Jane Austen's Emma, and the new musical The Violet Hour, which is coming into New York next year. He also, for 20 years, was Hal Prince's assistant.
So he knows a thing or two.
He knows a thing, or has certainly observed a thing or two about how a play is structured. So, and is coming into his own as a writer as well. So the two of them, they have this production. They send it off into the world. And then the next major production occurs at the Paper Mill Playhouse in 2020. The Paper Mill Playhouse is a Broadway caliber theater out in New Jersey that frequently sends things in. For example, Newsies started at Paper Mill Playhouse. The goal was to get it started at Paper Mill Playhouse and then move it to Broadway. So they hired another writer to come in and sort of take all of the work that had previously done and try to make more sense of it. That writer is Sandy Rustin, and she is given the primary credit on the play as it stands now. So the way that it is written, it's Clue on stage by Sandy Rustin based on a material by the three other gentlemen.
Got it.
Yes. Sandy Rustin, unfortunately, her version never made it to Broadway because there was a pandemic.
I heard about that.
But she did open on Broadway this summer with the play The Cottage, directed by Jason Alexander, starring Eric McCormick and many other wonderful comedians. And it's currently running on Broadway even as we speak.
So how does the musical version happen now? And
Oh, well, let me add just one more thing.
Yes,
so
please.
so the version that we'll see at the Theatre Cedar Rapids is the 2020 Paper Mill Playhouse version. And in addition to the new script synthesized of the previous scripts by Sandy Rustin, it is also through-scored by Michael Holland. And Michael Holland is a composer, actor, singer, and I know him most for singing the song "Another Day in the Modern World" on the Maura Yetzen CD, which was written for the play Cloud 9 by Carol Churchill. Deep cut. Deep cut. But he has written a score that is used to help choreograph some of the more elaborate scenes within the show. And when we are talking to Mick Evans in just a little bit, he'll talk about how they're using the score a bit in this. But that score is pre-recorded and is used as underscoring for the show.
Okay, so I'm going to back up. So
Yes.
Rich Heritage did a production of Clue in the late 20-teens.
Yes.
So who were the writers on that Clue?
That was the pre-Sandy Rustin, post-Hunter Foster.
Will there be like a easy study guide or?
I don't know. It's so hard. And some of this you have to piece together by looking at reviews of different things to see who's credited in the reviews, because there is no official guide to how Clue came to be. There is an excellent marketing page that just sort of says all these people kind of worked on it.
Sure.
Yes,
Sure.
but that seems to be the sequence of events. Now, parallel to this, a musical version of Clue was written, but that musical version of Clue is based on the board game only and has nothing but a passing resemblance in names of characters in common with the film.
So Deb Kennedy's TKM theatrical production,
Which is coming up in November.
In the Amana Colonies, that is
the musical version. And in the musical version of Clue, it is much like The Mystery of Edwin Drood. The audience votes on an ending.
Funny.
And there are over 200 possible endings based on what the audience votes on. Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, I'm tired.
I know. So the Clue has made its long way, but many talented, very funny people have had their hands on this material. In particular, all of the people that have been involved in it are experts in physical comedy and clashes of personality.
And it opens tonight at Theatre Cedar Rapids.
Yes, which is Thursday the 12th of October and runs through the 29th of October.
How does one get tickets?
At theatrecr.com, or you can Google, Theatre Cedar Rapids and get tickets there. You can also Google Clue on Stage in Cedar Rapids and get your tickets there. But they are available via their website, but also the website has information to call the box office directly.
And it's kind of a who's who cast.
It is a who's who cast. It's really remarkable, the people that are in this show.
Yes.
Some of the most talented physical comedians, and many of whom are also musical theater comedians. And Mick will talk a little bit about the fact that this is not a musical, but in many ways it has things in common with size and scope of a musical.
Well, and yes, and we should have said this in the beginning. It's being directed by Mick Evans, who is a longtime Theatre Cedar Rapids collaborator as an actor and an educator, and now he's taking the reins for his first main stage show. So it's all very, very exciting.
Yes, and we'll be speaking with Mick Evans in just a few minutes. After we take a little sigh in finishing that saga. Mm-hmm. All right, so next up, we have an interview with Mick Evans.
Well, hey everyone, we're back, and we're very excited because this is actually our first location shoot.
Yes, yes. we are in the Lingy Lounge in Cedar Rapids at TCR, looking out on beautiful what used to be when in my childhood was the Five Seasons Center.
Yes,
now is another name.
Good old exotic downtown Cedar Rapids.
Trump was here yesterday, so we picked a good day to be here because he's not here today.
Space. We've saged.
Yes, we saged. Yes. There was a good smudging. Out. Yes. Yep. Exactly. Oh my gosh. And so we're here with Mick Evans, and we're going to talk about Clue, and we're so excited. Thank you for doing this, Mick.
Of course.
So, as always, how did you get here? Like, who are you? Where are you from originally?
Well, I'm from here. I'm from Cedar Rapids. I was born in Theatre Cedar Rapids, actually. Just kidding. I was born and raised in Cedar Rapids.
For those of you who don't know, this used to be a hospital.
It was just on the street. Really.
So many things.
Yes.
No, born and raised in Cedar Rapids. I went over to the University of Northern Iowa to study theater there. I did my little educational touring for a bit, and then came back here to Cedar Rapids to be the education director here at TCR. And now I get to direct local high schools, and then they're letting me do this at the big time. On the big stage now.
Oh my gosh.
Which is a blast and a half. This is my first show at Theatre Cedar Rapids. A show for adults. I teach a lot of kids classes, do a lot of kids camps and shows, but this is my first adult show here in Cedar Rapids.
But you also act a fair amount at TCR.
They do let me act sometimes.
Yes.
I get to do, most recently I was SpongeBob SquarePants, which
Yes.
was a blast and a half.
Right.
The voice pops out a lot.
I would imagine
I can't say good morning. I have to consciously think to not go, good morning, everyone.
But that works. I think.
Oh, it's yeah. I mean, if you're going to be peppy in the morning, you might as well be SpongeBob. I ordered coffee like that one day.
Did you really?
Yeah, I just went, good morning, I'd like a venti cold brew, 2 shots of espresso. And they're like, you can have 1 shot. Thank you.
So you've had enough.
Yep.
So educational touring, what does that entail?
I just worked with some groups in the area around and about the United States and did some teaching in rural communities and that kind of stuff.
Oh, that's really cool.
I did some stuff Cedar Falls was kind of where I was primarily based out of, but I did a couple shows here and there.
When were you and I? What were your years?
2012 to 2017.
Okay. Okay.
Great.
And then I left there, and then I came back here to lick my wounds after theater school, and then a couple years later the
Yes,
pandemic happened, and I stayed.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay.
So don't ever ask me about a 5-year plan, because I think it's a really unfair question. 'Cause no one would have expected.
We have learned
Yeah, no
that
one-
we
no
don't
one's-
ask that question.
no one's
on
having
this
a 5-year
podcast.
plan.
Absolutely.
Yes,
But I
yes.
started teaching here in 2017 as a sub, just for classes, and then kind of worked my way up. I weaseled my way into the education director position.
Well-
Did you major specifically in acting or in theater education?
Both
or
performance and theater for youth. Yep,
Okay.
theater and drama for youth.
Oh my gosh.
Primarily for spectrum students. I love someone who thinks a different way, which is a lot of fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So in working with younger actors and younger performers, have you found some commonalities, some differences in working with adults? Because now you're directing an all adult cast. I
Absolutely.
assume.
Yep. They are children at heart.
Children at heart,
but all
yes.
adults.
All
Absolutely.
adult aged cast.
Yes,
Well,
technical.
I find myself having, with kids, you have to explain every step of the process, right?
Mm.
So I found myself having to take a step back and go, oh, no, they know what they're doing. I don't have to give them A, B, C, and D. I can give them A to D, and they'll fill B and C in.
Right.
And so that's kind of been a fun adjustment, is to be able to trust people. But then I also feel like my skills of being able to explain what I want out of my head are a little stronger, because I've had to explain it to kids. I've had to dumb it down for years.
Right.
Not dumb it down. Kids are beautiful and wonderful and amazing, and they're intelligent. But being able to say and water it down to, here are the 5 things I need. How you get to those 5 things, I don't care.
Well, like working with less experienced people on,
Yes.
on building their skill set.
Yeah.
Where now you're working with some people, and your
Yeah.
cast is pretty phenomenal.
They are. It's the
Yeah.
spoil of riches.
Yes.
They're the most wonderful group of people, and truly being able to say, I here's my idea, here's what I want in the end game. I don't know how you're going to get there, but I know I need this pratfall and I need that to happen, and this is the moment, because it's all comedically built. So it's all built around timing. So
Right.
saying, I know this is the timing. What can you do as an actor from your toolbox to get me to what that timing is? And then we've been able to it's almost like deconstructing it. Like I can give them the end game, and then we can build backward, which has been a fun, like almost reversal of process.
Yeah.
Rather than building the moments were given. Everything in the script is pretty timed to music, and it's timed to the beats of comedy, and it's timed to the beat of what needs to happen in order to make the laugh or the moment or the reaction. So being able to kind of deconstruct and say, hey, that's where we're going. Can you back it up and give me, maybe you've got an impulse in there. And that's been a lot of fun to play with.
How was educational theater always a calling for you? Is it something that came later in the process for you, or did you always know that this was going to be what you
No,
wanted?
I was going to be a Tony Award-winning actor.
Sure.
I was going to be
course.
absolutely. But then I being a teacher was my first idea in college. I was going to be an English teacher. But if I had to read one more research or report, I was going to gouge my eyes out. And so I quit, and the hardest thing I told my parents was I sat them down, and it wasn't that I was gay, but it was that I was going to be a theater major.
That's so much
Oh,
worse.
sat him down, and I was
Yes.
like, I do have prospects, I promise. I
But
have
we
things I
wanted to
can do.
retire. We wanted to retire.
Yeah, it was like, no, you can't live with me. I have siblings you can rely on. I will be living with you. I love you.
I'll be entertaining you. in
All
your-
right, for
yes.
years.
Yes.
But no, I was going to be an English teacher, and then I stumbled into the theater at UNI. We were doing Lysistrata. And I auditioned for fun. I was like, this will be a fun thing I can do on the side. And I got the male lead with the giant balloon
Yes.
phallus. And the professor directing that show said, I give you 2 months and you'll be a theater major. And I said, nah, Cynthia, that's not going to happen. And sure enough, within 1 month, I was in her office weeping, I don't want to be an English teacher. I do want to be an actor. And so then, I was going to be an actor for a while. And I did most of my career at UNI with that as my focus. And I wandered into one creative drama class and realized I could have the best of both worlds. And it was I could teach, and I could still, that could be a nice way to make some money as I'm trying to be an actor. And then I fell in love with the group of Spectrum students I had in Cedar Falls, and that became a passion project. And I worked with a great mentor in education, and then, kind of realizing that could be the backbone of my career, but still doing the performance stuff that I love to do. And then, the world I left, came to Cedar Rapids, got to play in my hometown, in that educational setting, and work at my old school and work with my old mentors. And then it became well, why don't I just stay here? And I think that's where I'm at. I think that's my gig. I think
Yeah.
education's where I have to go from here. And so then starting to teach here and then working my way up to running the program, they've let me just kind of run with my backdrop. I just wanted to teach, and now I get to drive the bus, which is a whole fun ball game.
Right? It's
Yeah.
a completely
Well,
different
it's
ball.
And
an important bus because I think,
Yeah.
one thing about theater education is it is so applicable to a variety of scenarios, certainly to people who go on to be theater professionals,
Yep.
but excuse me, so sorry. The confidence level that comes from theater education, and then also the cultivation of new audiences and people that are interested in continuing a parallel life in the theater, if it's not necessarily their primary life in the theater.
And I have kind of the
Crucial.
best gig in this area, and being not part of a school, being one of those things where it is like a nonprofit organization where we get to foster that art. And when you look at the educational system in the state of Iowa right now, this is the importance of what I get to do is just like nailed into my head every day. That like I get to be a beacon. I get to be someone that gets to, all of our programming is pay what you can. Everything that we have is accessible to people. And so arts for everyone is a huge thing, and getting to do that in Cedar Rapids, Iowa is like wildly cool.
And I assume that people going to the Theatre Cedar Rapids website can find out more information about the educational
Absolutely.
programming.
TCR, yeah. Yes. At theatrecr.org, campus
Yes.
and classes right on the top. Every class is pay what you can. I don't care what you pay. As long as you want to come and study art, you can come study art here. There's no reason why you couldn't.
And just an FYI, one of the things that makes the Cedar Rapids and the whole corridor great is that there is so much investment in creating opportunities for people. So if someone happens to be listening who would like to donate to this program, that is, of course, I imagine, available
we would
as
take
well.
it. We would take it lovingly and put it to great use. I promise.
What an incredible thing, and especially in this space and making these facilities available of a top-notch theater to all ages and all accessibility levels is really wonderful.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
So Clue were you chosen for it specifically? Did you pitch it? How did
So
Clue happen for you?
They announced the title at TCR, and I know they were looking for a director for a little while, and they asked a couple people if they'd be interested in doing it. And in the back of my head, I kept thinking, I want it to be me. Please, Angie, just ask me. Angie Tombson's our artistic director. In the back of my head, I just kept thinking, I'd be really good at this. Like, my background in like acting is all slapstick comedy. It's this, my first few shows here were One Man, Two Governors.
Yeah,
in
we
the
saw
area.
you. You were wonderful.
I loved that show. I loved that text, and I AD'd Noises Off at the Giving Tree, and a bunch of my work has been in that comedic kind of realm, and so a show like this was just right in my little sweet spot in my heart. It's also one of my favorite movies of all time, and so no, I did not submit my name. I did not approach Angie, but in the back of my head, I just kept going, I think this is a Mick thing. I think this is a Mick opportunity. And then one day I was out of town on vacation with my partner, and I got a text from Angie that was, hey, I'd like to meet with you to talk about Clue. And I said, cool, I'm out of town. I'm already going to say yes, but I do want to take the meeting. Like, it was one of those, like, no-brainer. Like, I'm going to tell you yes, but I need 5 more pieces of information.
Spoiler alert, the answer will be yes.
Yeah, like it's going to be yes. I'm in there to do it, but I have, like, a couple questions. But I will take the meeting, but I will do it. And then, it just kind of fell into place.
What have been the wonderful surprises in both happy, joyful, and here's an unexpected challenge? Like, how's the process been?
It's deceptively hard. The show is hard. It's a bunch of moving pieces. When you take a movie and you put it on stage, the idea of like 8 locations that you have to get to in 2 seconds, or else the flow of the play is shot in the face. Is just not. It's not easy to do, and luckily we have like the best team available to make that happen. So like it's a difficult surprise, but also knowing that we have the best and most capable designers and crew and stage management to like make all of those moving parts move smoothly in cinematic ways on stage is really interesting. Happy surprises. I mean, I have the best cast. The turnout for the auditions was one of the most
Bonkers,
difficult decisions.
right?
I had 60, 70 people
Yeah.
come out for this play. And so sitting in that room, it was like I got to watch the best of the best like parade out, and I had to go, hey guys, I was one of you like a week ago, and I'm sorry I had to sit in this chair. But like it was a beautiful like opportunity to get to see the people of our area come out, all ages. We had like, I think the youngest auditioner that came out for that show was like 13, and then we had the oldest was in their 70s. It was such a cool audition to like get in and sit in the room on, and everyone had their own take on. You had the Madeline Kahn, Mrs. White come out, but you had people just come and play within the parts as well. So you had kind of this. I got to pick from whatever I needed in the community to make the show happen, and I think the show had 6 cast lists. Like truly, I had like 5 or 6 that I was going in between, and if one person shuffled out, it shuffled the whole organization around. And so getting to see that part of our community come out for a show like this, which isn't like, it's not a groundbreaking like drama. It's not it's not going to tug at your heartstrings, but it is just a laugh riot time. It showed me that we all needed it, like it was one of those
for a
things.
non-musical as well.
Yeah. Oh, and our community needs that too. We've got our actors that don't do musicals need those big stage opportunities, because this does run like a musical. Everything's underscored. The lighting moments will be theatrical in a musical sense. The set moves in a way that like it's very like choreographed. So for non-musical theater actors, this has been a really fun experience to say you kind of get a taste of that, of the grand nature of a musical in this slapstick comedy, slight horror, spooky farce.
Yeah.
So one of the reasons we're on location today is because you're right in the middle of your tech day.
It's tech.
So tell us about your day, like, because I think we have some non-theater listeners.
Absolutely,
one
well,
or two. So tell us about your day.
I had my day started at 3:00 this morning when I had my first stress dream about opening a show. I've never had one in my entire life as a theater person. I've never had a stress dream about opening a show. I've never been like,
Welcome to
in
the
my
club.
underwear on stage.
Yay.
Yeah, I've never been like, oh, I forgot all my lines, or I'm doing a show for the first time and I'm not prepared. I've never had that. And I had one this morning where just one of the set pieces like randomly caught on fire. And so we had to, and it wasn't that we canceled the show, we just kept going while it was on fire.
Sure.
And it was on fire for like days. Like we never put it out. So I don't know what triggered that. I'm going to do some dream analysis and dig into it. It's just stress. It's tech week.
Sure.
But yeah, so 3:00 this morning, I woke up in a cold sweat, ready to, get the day started. So I scrolled TikTok for a little while. Then I fell back to sleep and I woke up at 7. I got here by about 8:30 this morning. Met with my stage manager, Jay Tucker, who's wonderful. And we were working through some cues and talking and getting ourselves ready to go. Actors didn't show up until about 9:30, 10. Our lighting designer was in around that time. Sam out of Chicago. Sam is great. And we orientated everyone. Actors got into microphones. We have mics in the show since it's a giant 550-seat house. We've got to fill the space with sound. So we got actors into microphones. We got the crew to check props and stuff. And while they were checking props, our technical director, Ben Lauer, and I were testing gunshots because we're using practical like track starters, blanks, in this show because I've never met a gunshot sound I like through a system yet.
Yes.
Yet. I'm going to give it a yet. I think science will get there, but I'm picky. Sound is a big thing for me. If sounders are off, I have a hard time with it. So we were testing to
We
make
feel
sure.
your pain.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, even down to like we're talking about like we use a lot of glassware in this show, and it's like, well, we don't want to put glass on stage. But I was like, yeah, but if I don't hear like an ice cube tink in a glass, like they're not drinking. They're not. It's not happening. If I don't hear the glass set down, the decanter set down, I'm having a hard time. So we tested gunshots to make sure they weren't too loud or too off-putting, and luckily we got a nice, the right one. We got the right blank. And then we started the run. We've been working lighting cues, and this set is a big old beast. The rooms slide on kind of like a puzzle box. When I first described it to the cast, it was like that scene in National Treasure 2 with Nick Cage in the White House, and he's twisting all the knobs on the Resolute desk, and he's pushing them, and all the drawers pop out. At random places.
That is a very deep track, that is.
Hey.
Well done, you.
Thank you.
Yeah. I'm right there with you.
I'm going to plug Nick Cage in National Treasure 2, Book of Secrets. But yeah, I was like, so that's what our set is. All the walls kind of slide out like a puzzle box. And so that puzzle box has to be a well-oiled machine. And today was we've gotten through 3 scenes in a couple hours. But those are our biggest scenes that have to move. And once we have those set, everything else can kind of fall into place. So the actors are on lunch right now, as well as the crew. I think I smelled pizza. I think everyone's eating pizza right now. And then we'll hop back in at like 1:45 and get going on the rest of the show.
Yeah,
And when does the day end?
The day will end for everyone except for a small select crew, which includes myself, at 8:00. And then we'll all have a team meeting and discuss what our punch list is for the week. Because our set, I would say we're at like 60 to 70% of the set is like finished, right? Everything, we need the finishings. We need the moldings. We need some textures in the lights. We need some haze. Right now it's like all the cues are being placed so that we have the process. And as the week goes on, we'll start to get the details into place that make it a really special TCR level show.
And we're recording this on a Sunday, and you open Thursday.
We open Thursday, which is one day earlier than a typical TCR track. Usually we open on a Friday, but this year it's a hot demand show, so we're gonna open a day earlier and let more people come and see it.
And it's also Thursday the 12th.
Yes.
So you don't open on Friday the 13th.
Which is horrible bad luck, from what I hear. I also think it's really wonderful, and we should have opened on Friday the 13th.
I agree. I totally agree.
I love a spooky thing.
I mean, come on. It's such a... I mean, these never... It's October 13th?
It's perfect. Well, we'll still party and have a good time.
Yeah, fair
on
enough.
The 13th.
Fair enough.
We'll get the ball rolling on the 12th, so it's like perfectly ready to go on the 13th.
So listeners that may be following along a bit, so 3 scenes in approximately 2.5 hours is not at all unusual on a tech day like today.
Oh no, no one's got heartburn. Everyone, I mean, we're going the pace we need to be going, and it's truly just back it up and do it again.
And this is the day where everything, the lighting, the sound, the costumes, the set, all sync together.
Yes, costumes will come on Monday.
Okay.
Or tomorrow. We give those a day. But right now it's sound is in, lights, some scenic elements. Most of our scenic is in. We've got a couple pieces. We realized our door frames are too small to move in giant like dining tables, so they're actually Frankensteining us a dining room table right now.
Oh, fun.
And a lot of it needs to be on casters. We have, I think, 4 crew members backstage, and it's just a beast. So a lot of things on wheels. Anything that can go fast, we're going fast.
Oh, and I love putting anything on a wheel.
Oh, I'm so excited. And once it's slick and smooth, you won't even be able to tell that there was a day where we had to stop and start and go again. It's like that scene in Miracle. Again, we're just going to reference a lot of things today because it's a cinematic thing, right? Clue is a movie. Everything's movies. It's that scene in Miracle where they go again on the ice and they go down and back and down and back and down and back. Is that we're going to get everything down to a science, and then we'll be able to open for everyone.
Well, and you mentioned that Clue the movie is one of your favorite movies.
It is.
It has taken on a legendary status. And after, in its initial run, it didn't quite catch on, but over time, and especially on home video, it has become a beloved property to the point that the stage show has become incredibly popular as well. But it's an opportunity to make that translation from screen to stage.
Absolutely.
And thinking that all through must
Absolutely.
be...
One of the first movie roles that I knew I wanted to emulate was the Tim Curry Wadsworth.
Yes.
Where I was like, it was just Herculean, like the takes to each other. Him and Madeline Kahn playing off of each other was one of my I knew I needed a friend like that. I needed to be able to look at someone witheringly.
Completely, yes.
Oh, and roll my eyes or be able to just have that kind of a back and forth with a human being. And then to the end scene where he's, our actor's name is John, so the scene where Wadsworth has the monologue going through all of the entirety of the play or the show, we refer to it as the Johnologue. So when we go back, it's we got to take it from the top of the Johnologue. But the Wadsworth moment where he's going through the entire show, I was like, that's just if I were to want to be a performer, that's exactly what I want to sink my teeth into.
So at the risk of spoilers, the film has 3 different endings. Mm-hmm. How does the play work?
The play has one ending, but the play does nod to that this could have gone a bunch of different directions. And that's all I think I want to say.
Fair enough.
Sounds great.
Yeah.
It's take the movie but with a twist, right?
Okay.
There's this idea that what we've tried to do is, and even as a company, is the script and everybody pays homage to the movie. It's the benchmark with which you kind of go by, but it gives you enough space to create it and make it your own. Because we don't have Tim Curry, we have John Mearson,
right?
An equally talented John Mearson. We don't have Madeline Kahn, we have Cara Ramirez, and these are actors who are going to create these their own versions of these characters, right, with a wink and a nod to the source material, because we all love it. Anyone who saw Clue fell in love with it and brought it.
Well, in the original, what makes the movie so endearing, I think, is that all of the original cast were the theater and stage trained people.
Yes.
That were not confined by the boundaries of film.
No.
Yeah.
Oh no. And that's so to put it on stage. There are things that work really well in a small space. So some of those reactions, those little eye flicks that you'd get from some of the characters have to be bigger than life in this space. So the biggest note we've been giving the cast is take that to 1,000. They're playing really realistic stakes. Obviously it's life and death. There's literal murder around them at every turn. But how do you make that comedic? How do you still live in this almost theatrical tropes of these characters? You've got the sexy siren, you've got the gossipy socialite, you've got the morbid diva, Like, how do you play within those, but then still keep this, like, a little bit grounded, a little bit in a realistic life and death situation? How do you keep that affectation? And it's been, we have the sexy maid, right? And she walks around, and her physicality is very very chest forward. And at one point, she was in a scene, and she dropped her physicality because she was terrified. And her big motivation was, well, she just does this. It's the thing she puts on. And I was like, oh, no, she's terrified, but that's the way she is. Like she's gonna walk with her chest forward and her arms up flailing and her little sexy French way. It says maid way, but that's just how she does it. It's not an affectation. It's just who they are. And so that's been a fun note to give the cast is like, even when you're terrified, you still have to be the sexy siren. You still have to flirt with Colonel Mustard. Sorry, Miss Scarlet. Like, even if you're scared, you're still sexy. Like, you can be sexy and scared at the same time.
I think the shirt should say that.
Oh, that's been my tagline for years.
Yeah. So what's next for you? Can you talk about what's next for you after post Clue?
A little break.
Sure.
A little break, because my last few months have been, I went from Meet Me in St. Louis last year at Christmas time, right into SpongeBob SquarePants, which opened then in May, into summer camps, which I directed The Wizard of Oz and Legally Blonde at the same time. And then I hopped right into Clue like a week after. So I'm going to take a little bit of a break, and then I'm directing the Kate Hamill version of Little Women at Jefferson.
Yeah.
Really queer,
great.
forward and focused, and I'm just excited to like.
Oh, that's
To do that
wonderful.
with a group of those high school students. But I'm taking a little bit of a breather, and then focusing on educational stuff. We've got a fun summer planned. I'm excited. I haven't fully decided what those shows are going to be, but I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, we never know how to answer this next question, but is there a property that you'd like to work on someday, or you'd like to have brought to our area, or be involved with, to direct, or to produce, or to...
As a performer, I mean, there are titles that haven't dropped yet that I'm like, the minute Beetlejuice drops, like, I'll drop a shoulder. Like, I would fight someone for that. That would be one that's right on the tip of my actor toolbox. Or things like, I mean, I sucker for a Sondheim. Sure. Like, I haven't gotten to sing pretty music in a while. Like, I've gotten to do, really cool things, but I miss singing like a really like intricate piece of text. So some of those like really complicated shows that aren't like big budget blockbusters are things that I would love to sink my teeth into. That's something that I love to do. As a director, I mean, I want a good drama. I've done a lot of comedy. I think I'd love something queer. I'd like something LGBTQ focused, just because I think our area needs a little bit more of that right now. The arts need it. We need to educate some people on some trans stories. Would be really nice. If I ever got the hair to write something, that would be something I would do. But, that's just training my brain to put things on paper and not just dream about them, right?
Fair enough. Yeah.
Get the hair.
I'll grow it out. I'll make it happen.
All right, we know you're on your lunch break, and we really appreciate that you gave up your time for this.
Absolutely.
All right. For those people who don't know how to get tickets to Clue, how do you get tickets to Clue?
Well, you can call our box office. I don't know the number off the top of my head, but you can find it on the internet. We are at theatrecr.org. Tickets are through there. There are seats available, but I know that like floor seats are selling fast, which means that balconies will go real fast as well. So get them now.
October 12th through the 29th?
Through the 29th, all through spooky season. And if
so
you're not going to be
exciting.
upstairs, you should go downstairs. Shamelessly plugging Patrick's show.
Thank you. Yay.
Yeah, Theatre Cedar Rapids, for those who don't know, has the big main stage upstairs and then the small, intimate Grandin downstairs. Yeah. And we'll talk more about that.
Absolutely. But join us, spooky season.
Yes.
Yep.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much, Mick. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, Mick, so much for allowing us to come and join you on our first mobile outing.
I know. I feel so continental.
We
left town. We left town.
We
to
left
do
the
this.
county.
We did.
Yes.
We're ready. We're
and
ready.
Mick gave us part of his only dinner break.
Yes.
to talk about the show. So again, Theatre Cedar Rapids, Clue on stage, running October 12th through the 29th. Tickets are going very quickly. So if this is something you'd like to see, I'd encourage you, we would both encourage you to get your tickets soon and get good seating.
All right. Okay. Well, shall we do Rosebud Thorn?
Let's do our Rosebud and Thorns. For a reminder to our listeners, Rosebud Thorn is based on our niece Penny and her teacher, who encourages her students to think about things that are going well for them, or roses, things that are starting to come into existence that are good, buds, and then challenges in their lives, which are thorns. And so each week that we have a podcast, we talk about a rose, a bud, and a thorn in our theater world that is of interest to us.
Yes. All right. Shall I go first this time?
You can go first this time.
Well, my rose today is if you can't get tickets to Clue, consider walking downstairs, because there is another show at Theatre Cedar Rapids opening also tonight. The Woman in Black runs the same days and mostly the same times. We've added a couple of performances, but it opens tonight, October 12th, and it runs through the 29th of October. Also, tickets at the same place, theatrecr.org, correct?
I think it's org and
Yes.
com.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, it opens tonight. I'm very excited. Kevin Burford and Ryan Shaladay, who are just longtime greats of this of our corridor area, are starring in it. I'm very excited. Our set is unbelievable. There's wonderful sonographer out of Grinnell named Lucy Green, and oh my goodness, the work she does. She did a little night music this summer for TCR. She did A Doll's House and A Doll's House Part 2 for them last season, and now
cages,
she's just come up with this unbelievable set for us. For
Patrick, who directed A Woman in Black? I forget.
That's me. That would be me, Patrick Delaney.
Yep.
Yes, thank you.
Yep.
My bud is, and we just found this out today, our Hamlet is coming back. A Mirror Box Theater up in Cedar Rapids has invited us to do a couple of performances of our Hamlet that we just closed at the James. I am so excited about this. Yes, unbelievable. Thank you, Caven. Thank you, Caven Hallman, for allowing us to do this.
And thank you to the board for approving it as well. That's
yes.
wonderful.
So November 17th and 18th, just 2 performances, Friday and Saturday. Details to come.
Yes, we got the whole cast coming back.
The whole cast
and
is
our
coming back.
collaborators are kicking in, and we're excited for the North Corridor to have a chance to see this as well.
Yes, I am beyond thrilled about it. Mm-hmm. And I've been thinking about it, and I don't have a thorn today. Things are, pardon me while I knock on my head and knock on wood, but things are going all right now.
Good.
We're in the thick of our productions. We've got our Halloween cabaret coming up at the end of the month. Icon is opening Waiting for Lefty next week, which is an unbelievably interesting, wonderful play directed by Lenny Stone, who's fresh out of Boston and just sort of, forgive my language, theatrical badass, and we're so lucky to have her here.
And she's the curriculum director for the Icon Academy as well.
Yes.
So these students get a chance to be directed by her, but also taught by her, and their curriculum coordinated by her.
Yeah. So I amend my rosebud thorn. I have no thorn, but multiple buds.
That's
so I'm
good.
very happy. Lots of things coming down the pike. We're very excited about it. All right, that's me.
So my rose for this week is something you mentioned. We've started rehearsals for the Holiday Cabaret at our house and at Jason Siffert's house.
Do you mean the
Excuse me,
Halloween?
the Halloween.
They
cabaret,
just come right on top of each other,
they
don't
do,
they?
yes, which is Who Goes There, a creepy campfire cabaret, which we're so excited. We're going to be at the country school again this year, which is this wonderful rustic theater barn space on the country school site.
Well, yes, wonderful and bucolic by day, and very creepy at night.
Ever so creepy at night.
Ever so creepy.
Yes, and we did get a question through the website that it is rated PG for creepiness, and that is correct. It's PG for creepiness. So if your youngers can handle creepiness, they're more than welcome to come, and it will be a fun evening all around. Robin Calhoun is spearheading the writing and directing and is doing a great job. But it's been so fun just rehearsing with our talented friends and putting together the music and the ideas to present to people. We're so thrilled about that.
Yes, we cannot wait.
We cannot wait. My bud is we have 2 shows that we're in the process of auditioning. One is We'll Get Back to You by Rob Bell, which is going up this spring at Mirrorbox Theater. Information available at the Mirrorbox website. Just Google Mirrorbox Theater in Cedar Rapids. And that play we did a reading of last summer at Mirrorbox, and it was a total joy to work on. And we're excited to have the whole production coming. And then we're also doing auditions for Sondheim on Sondheim at City Circle Theater Company, which is going up the first week in February. We just got the scores. The music is lush and beautiful. The arrangements are amazing. There'll be a full orchestra. So we are excited to hear vocal talent of from high school age and up, and hopeful that people will come to audition.
So how do people audition for We'll Get Back to You, and how do they audition for Sondheim on Sondheim?
For We'll Get Back to You, the instructions are at the Mirrorbox website, also at the Crooked Path website. That is a filmed side where
what's a side?
A side is a cutting of the play itself that we would like you to perform.
So you don't have to have anything prepared.
You don't have to prepare anything separately. You can have the side and record it yourself, or there's instructions for when you can come to Mirrorbox and we will record for you.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah. And then for Sondheim on Sondheim, the information is at the City Circle Theater Company website, citycircle.org, which will take you right to it. Look for Sondheim on Sondheim auditions. And we're looking to have you sign up for audition slot and come and sing 1 minute of a song that you think shows off the best of your voice in a musical theater style. And the nice thing about this, it spans the entire career of Sondheim's life. So pretty much any musical theater song from the 1960s through the early 1990s is absolutely appropriate.
Okay. Well, wonderful.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you. Go see Clue. Go see Woman in Black. And we will be back in a couple of weeks. I think we're going to talk about Trip to Bountiful next.
We're going to talk about Trip to Bountiful.
You're so excited, aren't you?
And Horton Foote and the Orphan Home Cycle, and his adaptation of To Kill a Mockingbird, all kinds of things. The Trip to Bountiful is a tip of the iceberg in a whole world of wonderful theatrical works. So we're excited to talk about it.
All right. Well, thanks, Chris.
Thanks, Patrick.
All right. And
thank you, Detroit.
And thank you to all of you for listening. Keep listening. And we will see you soon. Thanks. Bye.